Hello, this is the third episode of the Unity third-person shooter. So in the last episode, we learned to set up the camera, and we set up a basic movement and also crouch. And in this video, I'm gonna show you how to set up the weapon and attach the weapon to our character. And so for a start, I'm gonna need to create two scripts. One of them will be called weapon, so I'm gonna open this up. For the weapon, I need to define a few variables. So I'm gonna define two transform variables. One of them is the muzzle. What the muzzle and model are. Let's go to our scene. I'm sure you already imported the packages that we need. Of course, you also could use your own packages. You don't have to use these ones, but I'm just gonna use these ones. So prefabs, this package contains 3 models for weapon. Yes, I'm gonna just go with the first one. Here it is. So for your weapons, the thing we're gonna do here is we create an empty game object for our weapon. This weapon name is AR. I'm gonna create an empty game object. Here is our empty game object. And then I'm gonna bring the model. This is gonna be our model. We defined a variable. This is the model, and we're gonna drag it under our root game object. Then I'm gonna reset the position and rotation, make sure it goes to 0. The model goes to 0. So once you've done that, I'm gonna attach the weapon script to here, to the main game object, not the model. So I'm gonna go to prefabs, create a folder, and this is gonna be our weapon prefab. So I'm gonna expand this and create an empty game object under the model and name this muzzle. Let me bring this up a little bit so you could see it. Then I'm gonna go to the right view and select the muzzle and bring it right here. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a good spot. So that's the muzzle, and I'm gonna, I forgot to save it. No, this guy should be public. Now I'm gonna assign the model here and the muzzle here. Then I'm gonna, that's just for now. We need a lot of more stuff to go here. So I'm gonna create a class and an enum, both called pose. Which these are gonna help us to detect and define our weapon position. So this defines actually if our character is an idle, the position of weapon is gonna be different than the position of the weapon when it's aimed. And the reason I'm gonna do it like this, because most of people will parent this weapon under player's right hand. Usually if they open a skeleton and they parent it under the right hand. Let me find it. Chest right, arms right. Yep, here it is. They do it like this. They parent it under the right hand and they rotate it so it looks like it's holding a weapon, and they go with that. But I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do it like this. So I'm gonna parent it under chest here. I'm gonna parent the weapon under chest, and like this, for example. And then I'm gonna use the Unity IK system to bring the hands of our character to some points of the weapon. For example, the right hand will come here to the trigger and the left hand will come here of the weapon. I'm gonna bring the hands to the weapon instead of putting the weapon under the hand. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. Let me bring this here and collapse this, reset this guy. So in order to do that, I need to define a few variables, and I'm gonna show you how it's done. So we're done now, and let's compile the code. I also need another script for the player to control the weapon. So I'm gonna say player weapon, and this will be attached to player. So our player is a prefab. We need to open it first, then add the player weapon. Player weapon camera. Let's bring this guy down because a bar W. My bad. Okay. I'm gonna come back and open this up. Let's start writing the code for this too. So the first thing, of course, we need to define the weapon. We already created a weapon, a script, and this is gonna be our weapon. This is the weapon that is currently in the hand of the player. If it's null, then it means the player is not carrying a weapon in his hands. So let's start with other variables. Okay, now we're done, and this is the weapon, of course. This is the references. This is the speed of the weapon speed, the movement speed and rotate speed of a weapon when it changes poses. For example, if it changes pose from idle mode to aim mode, the weapon should move for that. And this is the speed for that. This is the pose. This is the current pose of the weapon. If the weapon is in a standing normal mode by default, and this is the pose data. This is the data for the current pose. We get the references if in the start. If we don't do the initialization in awake, we do it in start. This is important. So what happens in initialize? The first thing, we're gonna parent the weapon under the chest of our character. That's it. Then we're gonna set the position and rotation of the weapon to 0. Then we're gonna come here and get the pose data, for the current pose. Then we're gonna set the model of the weapon, the model, local position and local rotation. So that's basically it. Okay, let's go. I also need to initialize something in the animator. So here we go. So I'm gonna create these variables for a smooth transition between the current position of hand and the target position that we're gonna bring the hand to. I don't want to jump it right there, I want to smoothly move the hands to that location. So I'm gonna use some helpers for that. So let's do an initialization method here. This initialization method should be called every time that we change the weapon. So this should be called every time we change the weapon. That's important if we want our weapon to work correctly. We also need a reference to our player weapon. So now we're done here. So basically what it does is gonna check if these two transforms have value. If they don't, it's just gonna create a new value for them, and then it will parent them under the model of the weapon. So this needs to be called for every weapon, so it could just parent it to the new weapons model. So we're gonna go back to our weapon and actually our player weapon and continue our code. So I'm gonna do the update. If we don't have a weapon, if our weapon is null, then the player weapon doesn't need to do anything. It just returns. You don't have a weapon, you don't need to do update function of the player weapon. But if you do have a weapon, then we're gonna do it like this. So we're done with our player weapon script. Yeah, let's get the value for these guys as well. We already have these. I'm gonna just copy this, use this one here and this one as well. We're gonna do them in update. Also, we need two more for the elbows, right elbow and left elbow, because we're gonna use the ICA system to also animate the elbows because it's gonna look even better when we do that. Right elbow ICA and left elbow ICA. We don't need to parent the elbows every time because the elbows are going to be parented under the chest and but the hand icons need to be parent on the weapon, because we need to snap the hand to certain locations of the weapon. I think we're done here. Yeah, we need to do one more thing, and we need to parent them here. So temporarily, I'm just gonna parent them all under the chest, and on any weapon initialization, these two are just gonna go under the weapon model. Just for now, we'll do them on the chest, on the awake function. So let's check it out, see what we've done so far. I'm gonna, here it is, parent the weapon, assign the weapon, and let's play it. We got a null exception. Why? Yeah. So there is a painful process. I hate to admit it, but we need to do it. But the good thing is, once you've done it for one weapon, you just copy and you just duplicate the weapon for the next weapon you want to create. The process would be much easier. But the first weapon, it's a little bit tricky, and we need to do this. We need to create all these transforms. We need to create all these transforms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multiplied by 4, 20 transforms we need to create. So let's start. I'm just gonna create an empty game object here. I'm gonna name it standing normal. Yeah, let's just go with that. Standing aimed, crouch normal, and crouch aimed. So the pose, the right hand icon, left hand icon, these two need to be parented under the model. So we need to do the same thing here for the model as well. Standing normal, standing aim, crouch normal, crouch aim. I'm creating a game object, right hand, and left hand. Let's just copy and paste it for the rest. These are the hand icons which are going to be under the model. Let's assign them. A standing normal, right hand, left hand, standing aim, crouch normal, right and left icon. So we've done that. So I'm gonna just collapse the model, and here we need to do 3. One is the pose, of course. One is the the right elbow and the left elbow. I'm gonna copy and paste this for the rest as well. It's not that hard, but yeah, it's a little bit tricky. It's hard to make a mistake, so be careful when you're doing it. So that's standing normal pose, right elbow, left elbow. So I'm done here. I'm gonna just apply the prefab. So let's play and test this. Oh, nothing happening. Why it's not getting initialized? Initialize. Oh, this is the start. Not, yeah, I misspelled that. Okay, now here's the weapon. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go to our scene here, select this weapon here, and I'm gonna see how it's going to that location when I'm changing the model. So currently we're in the standing idle pose, standing normal pose, because we're not aiming and we're standing. So right now the pose of the weapon in being targeted by this guy, standing normal pose. This is the guy that is the target of our player weapon. So I'm gonna change that. See, if we're changing this, actually model change as well. I'm gonna bring it look like this, or however you're comfortable with. Yeah, I think this is good enough. Maybe bring it a little bit right here. Yeah, I think this is good. This is good. And let's see, if I crouch, I want to show you something. If I crouch, see, because we haven't set the crouch normal yet. So after this, we're gonna do the crouch normal as well. So I'm gonna go to pose and I'm gonna copy everything. Don't forget, do not stop the game. First, copy this standing normal pose, the transform you just changed, then stop. And here, uh, standing normal pose, I'm gonna paste the values. I'm also gonna paste the values for crouch normal, because it's basically the same thing. We're gonna tweak it a little bit, or maybe not. Let's show you how it's done. So after I'm gonna apply the changes and play again. See, the weapon is where it should be. Of course, we haven't yet set up the icon for the hands, but we're gonna do that next. Let's do the crouch. So I'm gonna open up the weapon that is currently under the chest of the player. Crouch normal pose, the pose of the weapon, and I'm gonna change that like this. Yeah, I think this is good enough. I'm gonna copy this and paste it here. So when I play the game again, I have the weapon here, and when I crouch, here it is. Let's set up the icon for hands too and get the beautiful effect for that. So we're gonna go to player animation and let's see. Here I'm gonna create a private void handle icon transforms. So before we go to an animator icon, we need to smoothly set up the transforms, the target transforms. So I'm gonna call this in the update function at the bottom of our update function. So the first condition is, of course, if you have a weapon, because if you don't have a weapon, well, you don't need to do anything. If you have a weapon, so we've done moving the targets, icon targets. Now we need to do the on animator icon. So as you know, there is a function in the Unity called on animator icon. Both are upper cases. You know, be careful when you write them. These one and this one and these two are upper cases, and it also gets an integer for the layer. You don't need to use it. So of course we need to check if the player has a weapon or not. Otherwise we don't need to do anything with the hands. If it does have a weapon, then we're gonna do our function. So we're done here. We're gonna open up our scene, and before we continue, you need to go to your animator and go to layers, and here on this settings button here you need to check ICA pass. So the animator allows you to use ICA. And also another tip you might want to know, if you're using ICA, make sure the script, which here is our player animation that has the on animator ICA in it, make sure that script is attached to the same game object as the animator exists on it. Here, the animator here, the player animation here, so we're good. I'm just gonna play it. So as you see, our hands just got crazy. We're gonna fix them one by one, the same way we fixed the weapon position. So first we're gonna do the hand icon, then we're gonna do the elbow icon. This is the model. Under the model, if you remember, we created these game objects. Currently we're in the standing normal mode, and let's do the right hand first. Okay, let's actually do the left hand first because it's blocking the view for the right hand. So I'm gonna like bring it here, rotate it a little bit. Okay, the rotation is not working for some reason. Let's check it out. Okay, here why it's not. Left hand icon. Yep, that's a mistake I made. The same thing for the right hand icon. Yeah, we should be good now. So I'm gonna play it again. Okay, let's do the left hand first. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, but if you want, you can do that. I'm just gonna do it. Yep, I think this is good enough for me. Later on, we're gonna change the hand animation. As you see right now, the hand is changing. Look, the fingers, it's moving the fingers. Well, we don't want that. We're gonna change that later. For now, just let it be like that. Before we go for the right hand, let's save this. I'm gonna copy the transform data, stop the game, paste the values, and next time we play, the left hand should be in the right place. I'm gonna do the right hand now. Yeah, I said I'm not spending too much time, but I am. Probably. Yeah, just leave it like that. This is temporary. Okay, it's because we're good now. You can use that to change, to have better access. Okay, I'm gonna copy this and paste it, the values. The good thing about hand-eye cut is once you've done it for one pose, you can just copy it for the rest of the poses. You know, it's the same thing. So right hand, right hand. You don't have to do it for all. You just do it for one pose and you just paste it for the other ones. Okay, I'm done here. Let's do the elbows now. The elbows are under the weapon transform itself. They're not under the model, so we don't have to leave it open. I'm just gonna collapse it. As you see, I'm gonna crouch, and because it's working fine. So let's do the elbows. Yeah, the right hand is first standing normal. I'm gonna go for right elbow. I think this is a good place for it. Yeah, yeah, this is good enough. Copy this, paste it. Let's play it again and go for the left elbow. Oh, this is just good. You can't tweak it the way you want to get the best result that you expect. I'm just gonna go with these, and the elbows, of course, you could use for the other poses as well. So copy right elbow, and the same thing for the left elbow. I'm gonna apply them all, and let's check it out. See, now we have a great system. We can do crouch as well, and yeah, it's going into the character feet. We could just change the weapon position a little bit. So yeah, to fix that, here's also the hand is this too is gonna be fixed with changing the weapon position. I'm doing this for you guys so you could understand. If you're not comfortable with something with it, you can easily change it. It's really customizable, this way that I'm doing the weapon system for the third person shooter, and I really like it because you basically do anything you want with it. You have a lot of access, you have a lot of options, and you can do it whatever you want. And let's fix the crouch also. You can tweak it the way you want to get the result that makes you comfortable and you're comfortable with it. I'm not gonna tweak it more. I think this is good enough. Yeah, this is good enough. As you see, the foot, this goes into the hand a little bit, but that could be fixed if we tweak it a little bit. Well, I'm done for today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel to be notified about the release of the next videos. Thanks for watching.